today, my friend.
Too much.
So, what do you want to start with, my friend?
Well, you know, the thing about doing something once a day as opposed to once a week, you can just wait up to just a couple hours before the broadcast because something new is going to happen. I saw something earlier that just really took me aback. There's this representative, Democratic Representative Jamal Bowman.
Yes.
Screaming in the hallway, blaming the Republicans.
I seen that earlier today. The guy standing in the hallway yelling at the other guy. I seen it on Newsmax, and I'm like, what in the world are we doing?
So it's the Republicans' fault. The Republicans are cowards, and it's their fault that these Catholic kids and their teachers got shot up by what happened to be a transgender, and yet they're the ones that are calling for this day of vengeance on April 1st because they're not being protected. It's just, there's something, look, no group should ever suffer for the act of one person. And we know that. Of course, we've been getting it our way nonstop. So under no way am I trying to make any suggestion here that, oh, because it was a transgender now, there should be something like that happening between the groups. That's nonsense. But at the same time, they're blaming the Republicans. So you can't have it both ways, can you, Jiggy?
Well, the thing that I don't think that anybody ever takes into account is we never talk about all the drugs and all the nonsense that everybody is hopped up on.
That's right.
Because the pharmaceutical companies pay for advertising on radio and television.
Right,
so we never can talk about that stuff. But at the same time, nobody ever talks about the fact that the gun lobby folks spend money like they do. And it's just everybody blames the actual guns. They never blame the actual people that are spending the money to make sure that, because one of the things that I've always said is I remember when they had that assault weapons ban and things were fine. And then magically it got removed. And it's just, but the main issue is the drug issue, but we never can talk about that because pharmaceutical companies and multinational corporations run the entire thing up there.
And it's also a culture problem. I mean, it's a culture problem, it's a drug problem. It's not a gun problem. Because the thing is, Jiggy, if they take away the guns, who are they going to take away the guns from?
Well, that's the thing.
You, me, or whoever. And who's going to have the guns? The people coming illegally over the border, the cartels, the gangs. I mean, the people getting out of jail that they're coming. I mean, it's insanity. They want to let everybody back on the street who are violent. It's one thing, you know, if they're smoking a joint or jaywalking. But, you know, when you crack somebody on the head with a gun, or you smack them, or you hit some old lady, or you knock somebody up, and they're letting these people out, you don't let violent MFers out just because they don't have money to pay bills. This is, I don't know how, I mean, the stupidity, it's like you have to wonder, maybe this is a matrix because reality could not be this stupid. Can it? I mean,
Roger
really,
Homefield.
Huh?
No, nothing. I was just letting people know. We've got the fantastic Roger Homefield with us today. He joins us here on our big broadcast, and he is fired up on a fabulous Thursday. And so, okay. You
know what struck me as tricky? Jiggy, I just want to say this last thing about it.
What's up?
This representative, Bowman, he was so over the top with this vitriol, blaming the Republicans and calling them cowards and all this and that. It just struck me as, wow, the guy's really going out of his way to completely distract the fact that there was a transgender that was the actual shooter, you know. And then you have just crime in general. It's not guns. How about fatherhood? How about families that have a mother and a father, a nuclear family? Don't we have less violence from those families? So what does Black Lives Matter want to do? They want to do away with the nuclear family. It's really perverted, Jiggy.
We have got a great guest with us today. Well, and something else. Get to finish up on Jamal Bowman. I like some of the things that he says, but at the same time, where was all of this vitriol when it was time to try to push a vote on Medicare for all, or trying to get decent wages for people, or there's all these things that, you know, he's a real good progressive. He's a real good fighter on things that like this. It's like you can go yell at a guy in a hallway. But when it's time to do some things for the American people, not so much.
And meanwhile, you know about April Fool's Day coming up, right? It's going to be the Transgender Day of Vengeance.
Couldn't they have picked a better day?
I'm not making this up. You can't make this up. And it's like they're all upset over the shooting.
The Transgender Day of Vengeance is on April 1st. Okay.
Transgender Day of Vengeance is on April 1st, so I don't know. Maybe look, I have nothing against transgender. I really don't. I was a musician.
Oh, my God.
I've played with everybody. I don't care what people do with their genitals. I really don't. Just do your thing and let everybody else do their thing and shut the hell up. You know, it's just
that is amazing.
Nobody says that anymore. Like, look, and it's just everything. Like even racism, for example. I'm not a racist. My girlfriend was black. I took care of her for 15 years. But that's not the point. It's not illegal to be a racist. If you want it, you don't have to like Jiggy. I don't have to like you. Under law.
Most of the radio industry does not.
I do like you.
If you've seen Facebook lately, most of the radio industry does not. But we have got a very fired up Roger Homefield with us today. You know, one of the things that I've often said is when I look at some of the different things that go on, there's got to be this group of societal engineers that are sitting somewhere and they're having a blast and they're sitting around going, hey, look what I'm going to make them do today.
Yes.
So you're telling me that the Transgender Day of Vengeance is on April Fool's Day?
Yes, apparently. Yeah.
There has got to be a societal engineer or two somewhere going, hey, look what we're going to get ready to pull on the transgender people. We're going to get them to do their Day of Vengeance on April Fool's Day. That'll be the funniest thing ever. And then they do it.
And when you talk about societal engineering, doesn't it strike you as odd that Bellman would come out with so much? It's almost as if they were sitting in their think tank and saying, hey, listen, a transgender did this, and that doesn't look good for us. We've got to get out in front of this. So how do we get away from that narrative? We don't want anybody picking up the wall and say, oh, it's a transgender that did this mass shooting. We don't want people to talk about that or hear about that. So let's start screaming bloody murder. How the Republicans, it's their fault and they're cowards. And that's basically what he's screaming the whole time. The hypocrisy is so thick.
I just find this, it's like you couldn't write better material for.
They wouldn't accept it. They'd say it's not real.
I just that is amazing. It is Roger Homefield. He's with us today here on our big broadcast, and of course, Joe Biden, the great unifier.
Oh yeah,
the biggest star in the business. Don't believe him? Just ask him. He'll tell you. As I've often referred to Joe Biden on this radio show as worst to first, because he was the first guy when it was time to run for the nomination. He was the first guy to leave, and then at the end of the day, he's the vice president. So he now is a unifier.
He is.
What has he done, Roger,
He's done a job that no one else has unified, has done this type of unification before ever in our entire history. He has managed to unify all of our enemies together against us. And it's really not going too far to say that whatsoever. We've got Russia and China. My whole life, which is longer than I'd like to admit, my whole life, it was always said that we're the superpower. The United States of America has nothing to worry about because we're so much more powerful than anybody else. The only problem we would have is if Russia and China aligned. Well, here we are. They've done that between Russia, and just everything he's done since he's been in office. Now, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was going to join the Abraham Accords, which would have allied Israel, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and some others with the United States and Israel against Iran, preventing Iran from having the bomb. So what did Biden do? He immediately trashed the Abraham Accords. Why? Because Trump did it. And Trump should have won a Nobel Peace Prize for that, by the way. Everybody said it was impossible to do what he did, and he did it, but he tossed it aside. So now we've got Saudi Arabia in bed with Iran. Isn't that wonderful? And the deal was brokered by Japan. Excuse me. The deal was brokered by China. Excuse me. Yeah, it slipped there. So now we've got Saudi Arabia and Iran together instead of when Saudi Arabia was really with us against Iran. Now they're with Iran. And then we've got something that just happened now with China and Brazil. They're going to transact business without using the United States dollar. Isn't it? So it started. It's happening, folks. It's already happening. And this implementation of the New World Order and this stuff, it's happening. We were talking about they're not going to use the U.S. dollar, and then we mentioned digital banking before. I don't want to get into too many things, but Biden has really caused all of our enemies to really unify against us. And
it's a hell of a
China
deal.
is building a military. They're building a military that's stronger than ours. Iran will get the nuke now. And it's endless. I mean, it's like every day we fall into a manhole, and it's an unforced error. We just walk into it.
We have got the fantastic Roger Homefield with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. So as we wrap up with Roger, what exactly, where can people find your stuff and get involved with what you're doing, my friend?
Well, I'm just getting a website together. It's not up there, but you can go to YouTube and under search, go Roger Homefield, Homefield, just like Home Field Advantage. There's a couple parodies I still love the folks to see. BringBackTrump.com, BringBackTrump.com. I think you'll enjoy it. And another one I did was He Was Framed by Hillary. Okay. Oh. I'm so sorry, valuable radio time. BringBackTrump.net. BringBackTrump.net. And the other one is He Was Framed by Hillary.net.
Fantastic. Well, Roger, I will see you next week. I am looking forward to